Hello and welcome to Rain's Kitchen and Garden. My name is Rain. Today I'm going to show you how to make these really spooky looking shrunken heads from apples. So let's begin. In my bowl I have 1 liter or 4 cups of water, and I also added a 1/4 cup of lemon juice. That's about 62 mils. And I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of salt. That's about 70 grams. And I'm going to mix that up really well. I've already peeled my apples, and we're going to soak the apples for 30 minutes in this solution. And the reason why we soak the apples in lemon and salt is because lemon basically, I think salt as well, kills the enzyme that causes the apples to brown right away. And it's also supposed to help it from molding quickly. So I'm just going to dunk in my apples that I've already peeled. Make sure they all get coated. And I'm going to leave them there for 30 minutes. I have a little bit of apple folklore for you. If you were a young maiden and you weren't married and you were just really curious to know who you were going to marry, you were to take an apple, peel it all in one shot, and then take the long strand of apple peel, go outside and drop it on the ground in front of you. And it was supposed to indicate the first letter of the first name of the man you were going to marry. So there's a little bit of folklore. After they've soaked for about 30 minutes, I'm going to take them out of the solution and dry them up. And I'm going to start carving some faces. Okay, they're all nice and dry. Let me move these closer so you can see them. Let me get this out of the way. So I don't have anything really special planned here. I have a couple of tools, like I have a paring knife and I have a small little spoon. I have a chopstick and I have a skewer. So I've got tiny apples. I think if you had larger apples, it would probably work better. But I'm going to try, I don't have much in mind. I'm going to try to just make a few faces here. I think that the chopstick is going to work well. These are just some eyes. And you know, if you look on, I'm just going to grab a paper towel here. If you look on some websites, they make these fancy faces and everything, but I'm just kind of doing whatever comes to mind here. So I would say that would be one eye, and then I'll make another one here. Yeah, the chopstick is working out pretty well. There, that's easier. Just want to get all the innards out of there so we have a nice cavity for the eye. And maybe for the mouth, I'll do an open mouth here that's kind of, let's see. This is not as easy as it looks because the apple is slippy. I don't want to drop it or have it fly all over the kitchen. My dog wouldn't mind. He's right by me. He wants to eat some. He's going to get some apples after. Apples are so good for them. All right. Well, that's my first face. And I'm going to go ahead and do that with all the others. I don't know. I'll probably make them all looking the same. This one looks a little, I don't know, like he's got eyebrows because I kept a little bit of the peel on him. So these are all carved out. Now it's time to dry our apples. If you have time, you can dry them naturally. You would take a skewer or a stick and pop it in the bottom and place them in a tall glass or a vase in a dry room for several days up to a week. If there's humidity in your house though, you have to keep an eye on your apples because they could start molding before they completely dry. Another way of drying them is to put them in the oven at the lowest setting directly on a parchment lined rack and leave them in there for 24 hours and check on them once in a while. I'm not a fan of leaving my oven on for 24 hours, so what I'm going to try to do is dry them in my dehydrator. I have an Excalibur dehydrator, and I've lined one of the trays with parchment paper, and I did read that you should start your apples at 145 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know if dehydrators have a Celsius setting, but if they do, that's about 62 degrees Celsius, and leave them in there for about an hour. Doing that should take off most of the residual moisture that's on the surface of the apples. And then after 1 hour, you turn it down to 135 Fahrenheit, that's 57 Celsius, and you keep them in there anywhere from 8 to 12 hours. I'm going to put them in and I'm going to check them after 8 hours and see how they do. All right, in they go. Let's see how they do. I think they turned out fabulous. Look at them. It took about 8 hours in total in the dehydrator to get them really dried up. I decided to plant them in my raised bed outside just to make them look a little more spooky. I hope that you enjoyed this, my friends, and happy Halloween. We'll see you next time on Rain's Kitchen and Garden. Bye.